Hey everybody, Aaron here with another video on safety. In this video, I want to talk about the safety KPIs that should matter at the executive level. One of the things that I came across recently was a business that is tracking the basic KPIs, really the lagging indicators. And I'm talking about TRIR, TCIR. If you're a safety professional, you know what that means. If you're not, it stands for total recordable incident rate or total case incident rate. And the problem with some of these traditional KPIs is I think they can give you a false sense of security. Here's what I mean. You might have 10 incidents throughout the year as a business. Let's say you have 50 or 100 employees. And depending on the industry, you may have 10 or 20 of these incidents. And you may have 0 recordable incidents, or maybe 1 or 2 recordable incidents throughout the entire year. The problem with that is that really doesn't tell you anything. In order to sort of have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the business, first of all, you can't just be looking back at the previous year. I don't even think looking at these numbers monthly is good enough. I personally track everything weekly or daily, which I have not seen hardly anyone else who does that. So what do you do to solve this problem? You're a business, you had 1 or 2 incidents last year, your your TRIR maybe even be 0, and you feel like you're doing a good job, but are you really? Well, the only way to know is to create what I call custom leading indicators. Or you could even have some custom lagging indicators. I think tracking first aid incidents, near misses, those are some lagging indicators that are commonly tracked out there, and that tells you a little bit more. But the problem with those is most people don't report all of the first aids. They don't report the near miss stuff. And so you're sitting there looking back at the previous year, or the previous quarter, previous month, and you don't have any data, so you really don't know where you are, honestly. Now, overall, that's a good sign. It means you're not having a lot of recordables, right? So that's okay, but is that really the truth? And the solution to this problem is, like I said before, custom leading indicators. And I want to give you some ideas, some things that I have done that have helped me really understand where we are as a safety culture. Because, I think as you grow your business and scale, you can't rely on your safety professionals to be everywhere all the time. So you really need to elevate your employees, awareness and their skill level and their capability around safety. And that's how you get that safety culture. But how do you even know if you have anything like a safety culture? And so here are some of the things that I track, and I've mentioned this on previous videos. The first thing that I always want to track is safety meeting attendance. Even if you're in general industry, every company ought to be holding a safety meeting. If it's very low risk, maybe it's a monthly. If it's medium to high risk, I believe in weekly safety meetings. One of the ways you can tell that if your people are serious about safety is by tracking the attendance and seeing who shows up to these things and who does not. A lot of times you have to do this remotely over Zoom or something like that. And so again, that's just one data point that we can look back, week after week and see what percentage of our people are showing up to these things. I mean, you may discover that you're having safety meetings every week, but only 40% are showing up, and of the 40%, maybe only 10% of those are even paying attention. And if that's true, are you really having a safety meeting? You see what I'm saying? So they're not really getting the communications that are going out to them that you need them to know about. So that's just one example. Another example would be safety observations, or sometimes people call them hazard identifications, safety concerns. I've heard places call them that. The problem with tracking those typically is people are only required to Well, a company is only required to do, let's say, 10 a month or 30 a month, and the problem is usually it's only one or two people doing all of those. And, unfortunately, when that's going on, those people are actually blinded by their own experience and they really can't see everything that the entire workforce sees. So, what I like to do is I like to track participation for that kind of activity. And what that will do is that will tell me, how many people are actually out here looking for safety hazards and reporting them. And so you could also do the same thing with safety training. You could do the same thing with safety inspections or audits, and the list goes on and on. But the point is, these basic safety KPIs that we're looking at, these lagging indicators that most people track, small businesses usually don't have enough volume for that to tell them anything. And then one day you wake up and you have a fatality. There's a place that right here in Utah where someone was crushed to death not long ago, and it appeared that they had a good safety record. Did they really? And so anyway, if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me, comment on here, reach out to me on the website. But yeah, you don't want to be that person in charge when somebody loses a hand or a leg or ends up losing their life, and you thought that you were okay on safety, but you really weren't. So KPIs that should matter to executives, it's going to be these custom leading indicators that you're paying attention to. That way you can prevent stuff before it happens, not after. Hope you appreciate this video. See you in the next one.